So we're gonna do a devotional. We're gonna read our devotional, talk about what's happening in the Bible, and how it can apply to our everyday lives. So our devotional for today is entitled. That's not the right one. Our devotional is entitled Always. So we're gonna read and then go from there. Always. I keep my promises, beloved. I also honor the covenants my people make in my name. Long after generations pass, I remember and uphold those covenants because I am eternal. The covenant of friendship is especially dear to me. I honor Jonathan and David's vow of loyalty, even after Jonathan's death. A covenant is a friendship. A covenant of friendship is never wasted. Even if a friend proves less than loyal, I know your heart, and I remain steadfast and true. You never have to worry about my commitment to you. Dearest one, I have promised never to leave you or forsake you, even in the worst of times. That is my covenant to you, always. Read 1 Samuel chapter 20, verses 18 through 41. So, now, take our little break. I'll read what I just said. You read it, and then we'll come back. So, I just read chapter 20 of 1 Samuel, verses 18 through 42, I believe. Yeah. And so, basically what we're reading right now is a pact that David and Jonathan make. And pretty much, I don't know what happened before this, but they have kind of come up with a plan to figure out if it's okay for David to stay where he's at in the town that he's at, if it's safe, or if he should leave. And so Jonathan comes up with this plan, and he says, okay, I'm assuming that normally they have dinner with the family together at a certain time of the year, and David normally sits in a certain spot. But for 2 days, David wasn't where he normally sits, and so Jonathan's father just assumes that he's unclean, and that's why he's not at the dinner. And that was day 1 when he wasn't at the dinner. So he's like, well, he must be unclean. And in this era of the Bible, if you're unclean, it's really common for people to stay at home and cleanse themselves, purify themselves again, wash themselves. And there's lots of things that can cause you to be unclean. But so that's what the king assumes. And then day 2 comes around, and he's like, he's still not here. So he's like, Jonathan, where's David? And Jonathan said, and it's really, I wanted to mention this because I read it in about 3 different versions, and they're all very different. So that's why it's really important to know the Bible for yourself and be able to really interpret and know what God is trying to tell you. Because if you read the NIV version, again, 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 29, it says, he said, let me go, because our family is observing a sacrifice in the town, and my brother has ordered me to be there. That's the NIV version. King James Version says, and he said, let me go, I pray thee, for our family hath a sacrifice in the city, and my brother, he hath commanded me to be there. So they're pretty similar, but King James Version has a lot of hath and he shall and lots of interesting terms. In the Message version, it says, David asked my special permission to go to Bethlehem. He said, give me leave to attend a family reunion back home. So, it's so funny to me. It's just so, it's still similar, but you just, sometimes the message can be misinterpreted, because clearly they're just saying David wanted to go back home for a family reunion. But if you read both the NIV version and the King James version, he was going home because there was a sacrifice, and that's why he was going home, not a family reunion. Yes, his family was going to be there, but they were there for a sacrifice. So when studying the Bible, I really recommend reading more than one version, and just like we just read 3 versions, so now you really understand what's happening, and you're not stuck with only one view of the story. So I don't even know what I was saying, but guess I'm gonna have to figure that out and be right back. Sorry for my rambling. Had to go back and see what I was talking about. But we were talking about what Jonathan said to his father as to why David wasn't there. So we read all those versions, and we come to the conclusion that he was saying David was gone with his family because of a sacrifice that he should have attended. And the dad is extremely furious that David isn't there, and that Jonathan is kind of covering for him. And he throws a spear and arrow, whichever version you read. He throws it at Jonathan, intending to kill him. And by him doing that, Jonathan knows that he wants to kill David as well. So his plan was to have one of his servants, a little boy, go and fetch some arrows that Jonathan shoots. So if he shoots the arrows and he says, "Aren't the arrows beyond you?" that means David has to go. He has to get out of there, because it's not safe for him. So if he shoots the arrows and he tells the little boy, "Aren't the arrows beyond you?" David has to leave and get out of town. But if he shoots the arrows and he says, "Aren't the arrows beside you or to the side of you?" that means it's okay for David to stay. And so, just so you know what I'm talking about, in the NIV version, 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 21, then I will send a boy and say, "Go find the arrows." If I say to him, "Look, the arrows are on the side of you, bring them here," then come, because as surely as the Lord lives, you are safe. There is no danger. Verse 22, but if I say to the boy, "Look, the arrows are beyond you," then you must go, because the Lord has sent you away. And about the matter you and I discussed, remember, the Lord is witness between you and me forever. So when it's like, that was the plan Jonathan came up with, but then clearly his father is outraged and going to kill David. So he shoots the arrows. The boy goes to get them. He says they're beyond him, so David realizes that he has to go. And they meet, they cry, because they're realizing they are being separated now. These are best friends, and now they're being separated, and clearly we've missed why he's leaving, why the king is mad at him. But you can surely take some time out of your day and go read 1 Samuel, the beginning, and figure out what happened. So now we apply this to our everyday life. So I really like this one because it's talking about friendship, and I think friendship can cause a lot of different emotions. It can cause happiness, it can cause joy, but it can also cause sadness and cause you to really be bitter and angry. And our devotional for today is talking about a covenant that you make in friendship. And when you make a covenant, it says, "I keep my promises, beloved. I also honor the covenant my people make in my name." So if you make a promise to your friend in the sight of Jesus and make him, ordain that friendship and ordain the promise you're making, then it will be kept. And we see that Jonathan and David had a plan. They had a covenant with each other. And we just have to apply this to ourselves and know that when we have friendships and when we make promises, we need to make them with the intention and the mindset that God is in the midst of this promise. He's in the midst of what we're doing, and He's in the midst of our friendship. And with that being said, He'll cover it. He'll bless what we are promising to each other. You know, like when you get married, you're making a covenant. You're making a promise to your spouse and to God. And when you make that promise, God will bless it and will allow your marriage to be blessed. But if you do break that covenant due to sin, adultery, whatever the case may be, that makes God unpleased, and that's when the covenant is broken. So, yeah, I guess what we can take from this devotion is that no matter what type of relationship you're in, friendship, courtship, marriage, any type of relationship you have, when you make a promise or a covenant, and I guess that's really important also to point out the difference between a covenant and a promise. Yeah, you can make a promise to someone and say, I promise I'm going to do this. But a covenant means you make that promise before God. You made it in His sight, which means if you break it, it's a done deal. I'm sure there will be generational curses when you do something like that. But when we make promises or covenants, we have to really take them seriously and know that God is truly capable of keeping that promise together, keeping that covenant from generation to generation. And just like He's able to keep that promise and withhold it from generation to generation, He can also break it to where your children's children's children will be punished for something you did. And clearly, we've seen that happen throughout the Bible. But that is what I took from today's devotional. Really good message about friendship, and we even talked about, studying the Bible and pros and cons of reading different versions. But thank you so much for watching. This one was a little bit lengthy. I'm rambling because it's almost 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm still awake. But thank you so much for watching. I pray that this was helpful to you and that you learned something and took something from this. And just thank you for watching. Pray you have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, whatever it is for you right now. And rate, comment, subscribe. And again, God bless you and thank you for watching.
I am the one, yes, I created the whole universe.